Hey there friends, and welcome back to another video. Today we have a pretty special video, and it's because I got to play Star Wars Outlaws early. Now, huge thanks to Ubisoft for providing early access to the game through this preview. Now, all of the footage you're seeing in this video was recorded almost a full month ago, and the game is still a month from release, so this is not the final version of the game that you are seeing, and I just wanted to mention that. Now, even though they did let me play the game, everything that I say in the video is my own opinion, and if you do enjoy the video, you know, leave a like, subscribe, etc. Anyways, let's go ahead and get started. Now, this game is very different from the previous Star Wars games we've been getting. You're not a Jedi or a soldier, you're a scoundrel, like Han Solo or Lando Calrissian. This is a side of the Star Wars universe we've only briefly seen and never really gotten to experience in this way. Throughout the game, one of the most interesting things is having to choose to align with different underworld groups in the galaxy, like the Hutts and Crimson Dawn. Different story and side missions will have you choose to steal from a group, which will make them mad, and you can even frame these groups for committing crimes against the Empire. Speaking of, the Empire is very much in the game, being seen frequently. At one point, I even was able to board a ship and steal from them. The Empire in general in this game is the police force of the galaxy, and if you make them mad, they will chase you down. While playing the game, I accidentally hit a stormtrooper with my speeder, and it started a high-speed chase. Kind of similar to like a game like GTA or Red Dead Redemption, there is a kind of wanted level with the Empire. You'll notice in the top left corner this little Empire logo appearing, which has 6 different levels, which continues to fill the more you do and the more you don't get captured, essentially. The gameplay itself is really enjoyable. Doing stealth specifically is extremely fun. In it, you can use Kay's pet, Nyx, to deactivate alarms, attack enemies, and more. But if you get seen, it's not an instant game over because enemies will alert each other and even try to activate an alarm while also trying to kill you. Once this happens, you'll need to use your different abilities and weapons to defeat the enemies, and if they did activate an alarm, you'll need to disable it so that more enemies don't come to kill you, essentially. When you defeat these enemies, you'll actually be able to steal their weapons and use them on other enemies as well. There's also lots of other little tools like binoculars, grenades, and you can actually whistle to attract enemies, which I kind of love. Something you'll be doing a good amount is picking locks, which is actually pretty interesting as the game doesn't freeze time or anything while you're doing this, and enemies can find you while you are trying to pick these locks, which is pretty intense because of that. There's also this puzzle minigame, which seems to be based off of a board game called Codebreaker or Mastermind, where you have to guess the order of symbols. It'll tell you if you have one right that it should be on the board, and if you get the spot correct and the fact that it's on the board correct, it'll lock it in place. Now, I didn't get to fly a ton, but the short amount I did was really enjoyable. In the game, you can get upgrades for Nyx, your speeder, your blaster, and more. You can also customize your blaster with cosmetics, some being inspired by certain Star Wars characters like Sabine Wren. There's also some outfits for Kay, which will give you bonuses, and some cosmetics for Nyx as well that you can get throughout the game. This game is the first real open world Star Wars game, and in it, you have the ability to traverse the galaxy using a speeder bike, a grappling hook, and a starship. The world itself is very alive with different shops and NPCs everywhere. These NPCs can give you quests, but even have some pretty unique decisions on what to do when talking to them. For example, one person I decided to randomly talk to was basically broke from gambling, and you had a choice to give them money or not, with him promising to give the money back to you at some point, and even give you some more. This was essentially a gamble, which you can also do in the game, with things like betting on races. I'd previously found a secret message during a mission saying that the next race was rigged, and that the lightest horse would win. Using this info, I bet on it and ended up getting some extra credits. Visually, this game looks really good, and as always with Star Wars games, the sound design and music was top-notch. I genuinely am really interested in the game's story, but with this being an open world game, you're not forced to do the story. You can go around doing random quests or just start a fight with the Empire. Now, as far as I've seen, there's also a really good amount of random NPC dialogue, because at one point I kept falling, and it's because I usually don't play on mouse and keyboard, so I'm not necessarily good at that. I've played very few games with it. Because of that, I kept failing, but every time I'd fail, the stormtroopers would say something completely different and not repeat it. And something I found really funny was every single time this one trooper would say something relatively long.
I almost got stepped on by an AT-AT once. Missed me. My commander wasn't so lucky.
And every single time the other trooper would basically give the shortest possible response, or they just went, and you could just tell that this one troop has to hear this guy go on and on every single day, and that they just can't wait to be off of the ship, which I just thought was really funny. And that's something I was really impressed with in general, was the dialogue, as it was really enjoyable with both the main characters and all of these little background characters throughout the game. Now, the story itself focuses on Kay basically attempting to pull off a big heist, with some other characters you'll meet throughout the story. Kay also seems to have stolen a ship from some big bad guy, and it's one of the only ones of its kind, and this person's family created it, and they are very angry with her after that, which is essentially why Kay wants to do the big heist. Now, the two planets I played on were Toshara, which is a new planet first shown in this game, and Kijimi, which appeared in episode 9, which I'm very happy is in this game. It's honestly one of my favorite of the new planets we've seen in the past 10 years in Star Wars, and it's just a really enjoyable planet to look at. Overall, I am really impressed with this game. From what I played, the gameplay is fun, the story seems interesting, and the freedom the game allows is a breath of fresh air for Star Wars games. I will be playing the game when it fully releases, and I'd recommend doing the same, honestly. This game is going to be one of those games where people have very different experiences based off of their choices, and a lot of people, including myself, probably spend a bunch of time just messing around shooting at the Empire. One last thing, it's not super important and it's not really relevant at all to this video in general, but I just wanted to share it. So while I played this like preview, essentially, I had someone watching the whole time, and in front of them I did some pretty embarrassing things. Worst of all being at the climactic end of this mission when I was flying and there were these doors closing, and I thought that it would be really cool to flip the ship, and instead of clicking that button to tilt the ship, I clicked the roll button in front of Ubisoft. So yeah, that was embarrassing. All right, anyways, that's gonna be it for the video. We will be doing more Star Wars Outlaws videos and some streams when it releases. So if you wanna see that, you know, leave a like, subscribe, etc. And I will see you guys all next time.
Whoa, this thing has some kick. Oh, okay, we're alive. We fix the ship, get to the core worlds, and land a big score.
Filthy, as usual.
Huge thanks to the channel members, Zach P, Spider Kid, Storm God 5746, Paco Catfish, and David Lawless.